Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today, I've got a best of one game, and it is between VortiX, the red Zerg player in the lower right, who's up against EmpireKas, the blue Terran in the lower left. And well, you may have noticed from the minimap that this is actually one of the, well, it's a remake of one of the Heart of the Swarm beta maps, which is pretty cool. So it should be pretty fun to see how it was done. It is of course a Wings of Liberty game, as you may have guessed by the fact that there isn't unfortunately the work account or any of those fun things, and it all just looks slightly different. But yeah, nonetheless, it's pretty fun. I'm really excited to see how it goes. Now, obviously, for anyone who hasn't watched any of my Heart of the Swarm casts yet, or haven't seen any games on this map, the real things to note is just the fact that the amount of dead space there is around the base is huge. It's, well, close by air, known positions. You've got some really nice expansions. The natural is okay to take. The third base is quite interesting. Terran will always take it here, just due to the position. You can chuck down some tanks, etc. And it's quite nice to get everything through. The fourth base will go up here. For the Zerg player, we'll wait and see how it all goes, but usually you tend to see there, and then the expansion up to the top. So we'll wait and see how it all goes. As we can see, Cass is saying, looks good for Terran, and VortiX being like, yeah, it's pretty big. So these two discussing the map as well, because why not? If you're two really good players, you might as well try and work out what's going to be good strategies, which maps are going to get through. If it's, to be honest, map evolution is something which I really don't think is spoken about anywhere near enough in the StarCraft scene. It's had such a massive impact on the game, and when you look at some of the maps from really a long time ago, they are considerably different to what we're seeing today. And, well, this is the first interesting thing, Cass going for a 2 racks. Oh, Cass. And it's a hidden second racks as well, which isn't going to get scouted because, of course, the Overlord's just going to come straight over. A drone, I don't think would spot it here because it would come through this way. I'm fairly sure it wouldn't come out, so good move there by Cass. We'll wait and see anyway if this drone does find it, but it looks like the drone's just going to go straight and take a third base super early. And my goodness, VortiX, the meta game is obviously just the sense of it's going to be a 1-rack command center almost certainly, in which case you want to stay a base up, so you need your third hatchery down pretty quick. And VortiX was like, I am going to meta game you to the max, and there's nothing you're going to do about that, Cass, except if Cass made a second barracks, which would be oh such bad times when you went hatch, and only just started your spawning pool. It's gonna end painfully should the terrifying Terran player decide to go and attack. The terrifying Terran player? I'm trying to think of a way to do this with alliteration, and terrible is the only... Oh, no, I can't think of one. It's fine, it doesn't matter. Anyway, guys, while we're waiting to see whether this push is going to kill everyone, make sure you do, of course, like the video and leave a cool comment, because that way it gets more users and viewer interaction, which would be awesome. And subscribe, because I get new games up every single day of the week. Now, as we can see, these Marines are building up in number. There's been no display of how many there are. Of course, for the moment, VortiX is blissfully unaware of his soon-to-be rather large predicament. He doesn't know about any of this. He just knows that there is an orbital command here, and there has been no gas taken. Which, for all intents and purposes, says, well, it's going to be a 1-rack command center, because every Terran does that, right? Right? They really do. They don't make 2 barracks and come out with Marines early, do they? Nope. Of course they don't, VortiX. Except this time they're going to. As we can see here, no Zerglings are out on the field. There's no Zerglings in production. There's 6 lava chilling there, though, so that's okay. There's just no money to build anything with. And, of course, more drones are coming out. Zergling speed even getting started before there's Zerglings. And this is going to be an interesting defense, because essentially none of this has gone scouted. Actually, it's not even essentially. It's just a flat-out statement. None of this has been scouted. This is what VortiX sees. This is what EmpireKas has. And this is going to be the horrible moment any second now. Here we go. Oh, dear. Oh dear, there are Marines in my base. They're coming forward. The Queen is getting killed pretty damn rapidly. 4 Zerglings are on their way out. But 4 Zerglings, even 6 Zerglings, not going to engage well against 9 Marines. Even with Queens helping, the Queen running off creep, trying to get away. Should have realised that he's just too slow down there and is not going to get in. The drones revealing, of course, that there is a third base. And that isn't too fun either, because the drones are now going to try and get away. But VortiX going for a delaying tactic, trying to make sure these Marines do the minimum amount of damage possible, and allowing himself to get up the maximum number of Zerglings as possible. Going in now with the drones as well, trying to get a good surround. The Queen trying to help as best as possible. Good stutter step micro on its way for the moment. And VortiX has taken a surprisingly low amount of damage from this. If we look, he's lost slightly more stuff, but in terms of workers killed, there was a grand total of 1. 1 worker killed for that amount of investment, that delay on the natural base is definitely worth it. We can see that VortiX already got a nice worker lead with his 3rd base up, and the fact that he only lost 1 queen out of the potential 3 or at least 2 he could have lost. I'd say that was a really nice hold by VortiX, and he should be feeling pretty damn happy. We've got the Tech Lag and Reactor on its way. Obviously the 3rd orbital command down for Kas, because he knows his opponent's got this 3rd base. He knows he needs that, his own 3rd, to deal with it. He's got the 1-1 upgrades on their way out, so really trying to catch up as quickly as possible and get some kind of foothold of an advantage, because with VortiX having this 3rd base out so soon, it's really throwing Kas out of the position he wanted to be in. He wanted to be doing some early damage, and the fact he didn't when his opponent had obviously gone for a hatch pull build really screams to Kas that, hang on, what I'm doing was not a good plan. Like, it couldn't have gone better in terms of VortiX's build order for me to actually do a lot of damage, and I didn't manage to do anything, which is always gonna sting. Put bluntly, it's gonna really hurt and smack you in the face. But as you can see, the Baning Nest coming down, the lair coming down, Stim getting researched, very normal times for all of this. We've got more Marines on their way. We do have the factory coming down now, along with 2 additional barracks, so everything coming together as Kas would want in the mid and late game, but things have been delayed just due to the fact that this base was delayed, so we'll wait and see how it does play out. VortiX now taking an 11 worker lead. His lair is half done. He's got the double upgrades coming as well, so those double upgrades actually very similar timings. If we see here, a slight advantage for Kas over VortiX in terms of the upgrades, but not by a huge amount. Zergling's holding the watchtowers perfectly comfortably. This is a good move holding this top one, because it actually gives you vision all the way into the dead space, which is really fantastic for picking up any kind of medevac drops, which really means the only place you'd want overlords is down here or over here in this kind of position, just so, well, to be honest, over here, so you can spot any medevacs that could be coming your way, and that will just allow you to deal with the drop threat ASAP. But judging by this, we're not going to be seeing any drops for a long time, because we do only have the starport on its way now. Really a marine heavy build all the way through here. A couple more orders coming out. We've got the medevac rush, the upgrades for the infantry, so marine order medevac is the aim of Kas. He's not getting the tanks out, which is quite surprising to a lot of Terran players who thought that once upon a time it was, if you saw a Terran player not go for marine tank, it was pretty crazy. But really Kas showing that he's going to go for some interesting, more unusual strategies. We do have the infestation pit on its way down here for VortiX as well, who's taking his 4th base. That's all due to the fact that he scouted this. He scouts the 3rd base for Kas is on its way, so he expands, stays a base above, which is perfect play. It's precisely what you want to be doing as a Zerg in this situation. Creep spread, I must say, leaves a little to be desired. That's due to the fact there is only 1 queen per hatchery, which results in there not being a queen there to spread creep. Otherwise you skip and inject, which of course you do not want to be doing early on in a game. And yeah, all in all, this bunker's in a nice defensive position. Going to hold this 3rd base comfortably from Zergling run-bys, which are a threat due to a lot of different attack paths in a wide open area, so that is pretty swish. We do have the Spire starting, so if I can find it, which apparently I can, there we go, Spire is on its way down, and that means the VortiX is really taking up. There comes down the Hive as well. This is going to be a really early Broodlord transition, and I said it's really early because we're only at the sort of 11-minute mark, and we've already got the Hive coming down, which usually if you saw the Hive this early and you didn't see the Spire, you'd assume it was going to be an Ultra play with the upgrades. Infesta Ultra very strong, but the Spire says no, I'm going straight to Broodlords incredibly quickly, which is an interesting strategy from VortiX, and Kas, I don't think is going to have too much trouble with it, because he does have his starport out already, and as long as he scouts that Spire, he's going to have a nice little opportunity to attack in, so that should be all good. But overcomes these medevacs, but that Zergling in what is possibly the most perfect position ever, sees everything that he'll need. Is VortiX going to react? I imagine he will. He should have seen that. He's also got an Overlord positioned very nicely at the bottom of the map here, which should pick up the medevacs, assuming they follow a normal path, which they do not appear to be doing so. They're not going along the bottom. They're actually going to try and come into this area. So, are they going to get scouted? The answer is no. So VortiX clearly didn't spot them in the first account, and now we're going to see a position where actually Kas is going to get in very nicely and very comfortably here. The Infestor was on its way over, but all of these units are going to come out. Big Fun Growth could cause a problem though. Is he going to be able to snatch them? Yes, he does. Just in time. The rest of the Infestors come in, and the Medevacs aren't even over ground, so they can't drop those units, and as we can see, this is now going to be a massive problem for Kas, due to mainly losing 2 medevacs full of units, which is no small amount. Looking at the loss tab, he's now lost 1,000 more resources than that of his opponent. In terms of the worker count, 88 to 78. So Cass does have a really good worker count. He's got a good, solid economy behind all of this, as we can see from these bars. But VortiX, he's got his fourth base up now. He doesn't have a macro hatch as far as I can see, but is instead choosing to take his fifth, expanding towards his opponent now. The Greater Spire is on its way down. I don't think that was spotted by Cass, though. So Cass has no idea about that. He has no idea about the hive timing either. So those are two critical pieces of information that Cass is now missing. VortiX knows he's just dealt with a really good drop, and as a result he should be quite comfortable. 2-2 infantry upgrades are on their way out for Cass at the moment. We do of course as well have the 2-2 upgrades already finished for VortiX, who's getting adrenal glands out but has not started 3-3 yet. We should see that fairly soon. Looking here though, we've got a medevac on its way across. It hasn't done any damage due to the fact there's two spore crawlers there, so Cass wouldn't bother going for that at the moment. The fourth base on its way down for Cass as well, and I've got to actually note, Cass took this top base as opposed to this centre base, which is a lot different to the thinking I'd usually go for. Standardly, I would expect Turn to take this base just due to the fact they're clumped up more, but Cass didn't need to due to the fact that he wasn't investing in tanks. Therefore, the advantage of keeping your bases closer together and as a result allowing tanks to cover a larger area is negated, and spreading out is arguably a better move because it means then that you can potentially cut off the Zerg army with your more mobile marine order force. So that is the general thinking behind this. We've got a big movement of forces coming up to try and retake this top watchtower, but Cassie's coming in with more units from below. Adrenal glands is now finished for these Zerglings as well, so they're in a good position. We do have a few banelings chucked in there as well, which are always going to be a risk and a threat to Cass rather. VortiX needs to really get in a good position though. He's got a handful of Broodlords coming out on the field. He's got 4 out already. He's getting 3 more. This top base almost certainly going to get taken out. If VortiX were to engage now, he wouldn't have a cost-effective engagement. His Broodlords are not in the mix. The Infestors could try and get some fun growth off, but great splitting at the moment by Cass. And to be honest, VortiX is going to be quite comfortable losing this base, but he knows he's got this lower base as well, ready to fall back on. It buys him time. Time is something that he essentially needs a lot of right now. The Broodlords coming in, they are going to get a couple of shots off onto these siege tanks. You've got more Broodlords morphing in. The units moving forward now with the unsiege of the tanks. The Broodlords still shelling. VortiX doing a great job of pushing forward and pulling back, forcing a siege and unsiege of the tanks, allowing the Broodlords to really effectively clean all of that up. That is precisely what VortiX wants to be aiming to do for the moment. But the downside is he's on equal bases with his opponent, or was briefly. He does have these 2 centre bases up, so that takes him up to 5 bases yet again, and he's taking a 6th in the top position. So he is going to be 2 bases up shortly. He's currently a base up on his opponent, so that is everything coming together nicely for VortiX, who's nearly maxed out. Cass is already maxed out with 2-2. His 3-3 upgrades are nearing completion. 3-3, of course, not yet started for VortiX, which could be considered a flaw in his play, but it's due to not having much gas because he's got these Broodlords out so quickly, and he doesn't have the additional gas income. But he is now starting to get that. But look at this, 3 medevacs on their way across, but at the same time VortiX standing straight outside the 4th base of Cass, and well, this is threatening. The Overlords have of course spotted it. We've got a handful of Zerglings chilling at the main base, and looking down these Viking counts, the Viking numbers are actually really high, up at 10, and that is going to cause a bit of a problem, especially with only a few Corruptors down. The Infestors are going to have to get great fungal growths off. The Siege on the Planetary Fortress is still en route, but look at this drop straight into the main base. 3 medevacs worth of units is nothing to be shy of, and as we can see, a lot going down. The Ultra Cavern is taken out, no cancel was forced, but looking down at the 4th base of Cass at the moment, these units are still pressing forward, still doing damage, still trying to snipe anything and everything they can, but a lot of the forces being pulled back in order to deal with this drop. That does leave these Broodlords slightly exposed. It's purely Broodlord infested on a handful of Corruptors there, which means that if there were a quick run-in trying to do some damage to the Broodlords, we could run into some problems. The Corruptors do come forward in a great fungal growth there for VortiX as well. He gets all of the Vikings very comfortably and should be able to clean up the majority of them. He should need 1 more fungal growth to finish up the last few, and well, he may not even need that. The Queen's getting in on the mix, and VortiX still applying so much pressure. His Ultralisk, or remade Ultralisk Cavern, is still on its way down. We've got some infested Terrans moving forward, but this next wave of Vikings is causing a massive problem due to the fact there's so little anti-air. The infested Terrans will provide that functionality, but VortiX, he is still on his last legs of this push, to be honest. He's trying his utmost to get this Planetary Fortress down and does succeed in doing it. That is a loss to Cass because he's now down to essentially the 2 mining bases, his main will be mined out at this stage of the game, so that is good news. But looking at this, the top base has been taken out. It was by a medevac worth of unit, I do believe, and that isn't a huge problem because VortiX isn't even mining from all of his bases he's got for the time being. Looking at the work count, 72 to 80, so Kas does actually have more workers, but he's going to be quite heavily oversaturated, I would imagine, at quite a few of his bases. I mean, this one oversaturated, this base definitely oversaturated, so not getting optimum effect from those. This base down here is really critical. I don't even think it's been scouted, oh, it has been scouted out now, I do apologise. So that basically means VortiX knows what his opponent's running on, knows how many bases he's running on, and that is the critical information. Really surprised VortiX hasn't taken these 2 gas. The reason being is he's really starved of Vespian right now, and if he were to take those additional gas, he'd be in a good spot, especially when this top base has repeatedly been sniped off. But what's this? More medevacs coming in. It is a lot of marauders in here, but most of the key tech has been moved away. I mean, the Ultra Cavern at the natural, the Greater Spire quite a long way back. We've got the Corvid Reactor on its way out for Kas right now, and he's also moving across at the same time. This drop is coming down in the main, so if he does micro well, Kas could do some good damage. But look at this, these ultras streaming in. Meanwhile though, this drop in the main is forcing a lot of VortiX units, or a lot of indecision from VortiX. Not sure whether he should go back or forward. The hive is gonna fall. That is a huge loss right now, especially if that Greater Spire were to go down. It massively delays more Broodlords, which could give VortiX the time he needs, but instead Kas appearing to just focus down on some of the lesser structures such as the spawning pool and Baneling nest. So clearly does not want more Banelings in, which makes sense when he's going infantry heavy. He wants to get rid of those Banelings as quickly as possible. The Ultra Armor upgrade just finishing up now though for VortiX, who is slowly but steadily building up a steady gas reserve. He's got this top base mining yet again, but still he's not taking gas from so many potential places that he could be, and that's quite surprising because you're always going to be starved for gas late game as Zerg. So why not get as much as possible? It'll allow you to spend more of those minerals more cost effectively. But as we can see, Kas is massing up on the starports, if I can find them. He's got some more coming down here. He's already got, what's that, 3, 4 of them, so he's going to be going up to 6 straight away. I had to think about that math though, which was pretty embarrassing for me, so do let me off. But as we can see, VortiX being forced to move back yet again due to this drop coming down. Relentless pressure from Kas in this situation. In this multi-prong harassment, it's essentially forcing VortiX, who I would argue was ahead for the majority of this game, back and forth. We've got more attacks on this Greater Spire, which is now revealed to Kas, so he knows where it is, he knows what he's got to be targeting. It's buying Kas time as well. He's taken this top center base, which takes him up to a grand total of 6, compared to the 7 bases, I do believe, of... is it? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 5 bases, because he lost his main. So 5 bases. I'm surprised that VortiX hasn't yet chosen to take this somewhat exposed expansion, but it would expose him more to drops. But on the plus side, it would mean that he'd have more hatcheries up, which would be good. More drops coming down absolutely everywhere. This multi-prong drop play from Kas is really seeming to be a problem to VortiX, who's not counteracting it the best way he could be, which is obviously just chucking down some static defense everywhere. And let's face it, he can afford the minerals to put down a lot of spine crawlers. So that is the one flaw I'd say VortiX has had in his play, and he's losing quite a lot of stuff. He's not engaging as cost effectively as Kas is for the moment, which is to be expected, but if it can be avoided, which it easily could simply by putting down spine crawlers at his expansions, it would really save him a lot of time and hassle. It would allow him to just push forward and really deal with Kas in an effective manner. More drops are still queuing up, still on their way across, but a big Zergling run by is on its way down for the moment. Looking at the unit tab, we've got 6 Vikings out, 20 Marauders, 4 tanks, and 11 Ultras and 14 Banelings really, and as well as an awful lot of Zerglings out for VortiX. So Kas, I'd say, he's got a nice army to deal with those Ultras, but a tech switch could run into problems. The double Spire is nearly finished up there for VortiX, who's getting out his hive, of course, at the same time, so it's at least another 100 seconds till his Greater Spire's out, but he will be able to start getting those double air upgrades. Looking around though, as we can see, more drops just relentlessly coming at every angle towards Kas, and this is what's causing the problem, because he drops coming down to the center, bottom center expansion. Ultras trying to come and defend that, and attack at the top as well. The Zerglings streaming in, but in bad positioning due to the AI. This top base yet again gets taken out for VortiX, and this is starting to hurt him. And again, all it would take to defend this is just a handful of spine crawlers at each of these bases, and when you're banking up nearly 4,000 minerals consistently, why not? What is that going to cost you? It's supply free, which is the most important thing late game. And if you've got the money to deal with it, then it's all good. Using Fungal Growth to take out SCVs attacking a queen, why not? But this is just Kas trying to free up more supply, because VortiX, he is rolling in money, nearly 10,000 banked minerals. Mules are so good late game when you get up a good number of orbital commands. Also, we can see here the Kas is mined out at a lot of his bases. He's got planetary fortresses at all the front and exposed bases as well. Gonna make it even harder to engage, but I'm sure I just saw some medevacs somewhere with units. Maybe I didn't, maybe I was imagining it, but look at this. Ravens, Ravens, Ravens. Which means lots of Seeker missiles. Of course, Seeker missiles are the strategy to dealing with endgame Zerg play in most situations, especially air. Looking for the spires. I don't know where they did actually go down. Here we go. So the greatest spire nearly finished now. Finding more broodlords. Oh my goodness, we're getting battle cruisers as well. That makes me a happy boy. Seriously, battle cruisers, burrow banelings, carriers are pretty much my most exciting moments in Wings of Liberty. If you add Widow Mines into that as well, then you get my most exciting moments in Heart of the Swarm, because let's face it, Widow Mines are a reusable burrow baneling, which are just so good. The Behemoth Reactor is on its way, and, well, Behemoth Reactor rather, is going to be probably not that effective. I don't remember the last time I saw battle cruisers used effectively in a high-level game, but nonetheless, Kas is getting them. I mean, he's freeing up his supply greatly by trying to get rid of SCVs, but apparently he just had so many that he's still at 60, which is more than a lot of Terran players were getting through an entire game. VortiX instead trying to clear out supply by sacrificing ultras, because that is just what you do when you have expanded to pretty much every base you can, but still VortiX hasn't taken this base. And I'm really noticing that, because when I was playing Heart of the Swarm, I always forget to take this base, like, repeatedly. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful of me forgetting to take it, but for some reason I do. Looking here, though, Ultras are moving forward. We've got just still these Ultras trying to sacrifice themselves, just being like, please, kill us. We need the supply for Broodlords. Just let us die. Spinecrawlers coming down. Where even are they? They're coming down towards the Hive, so he doesn't want to lose the Hive again. Not defending this top base, though. Instead, just using Ultras inside of Spinecrawlers, because why on earth not? When you've got lots of money. Kas has just reached the point of 11,000 banked minerals, so he has got an awful lot of money, and 2,000 gas is actually quite a nice position to be in. He's transitioning into somewhat of a mech build, to be honest. He's really going into vehicle only. I mean, we've got the 4 Thors, 9 tanks, Vikings, and battle cruisers Raven, with only a handful of Marines and Marauders mixed in. So it is sort of a late game mech composition, which is really going to be quite difficult for VortiX to deal with, due to the fact that he's put out nearly all of his supply into Broodlord. He's got the 12 Corruptors there, but when we've got a high Viking count at 6, plus the battle cruisers, plus the Ravens, those Seeker missiles are going to start really damaging VortiX if he doesn't spread his air units out effectively. But as we can see here, SCVs are apparently committing mass suicide in front of a hatchery. I don't know if this is some form of weird psychological warfare. Mind games to the enemy, of course, just being like, I'm just going to kill everything. But this hatch yet again gets taken down by a drop, which I missed. But that drop, seriously, this base has died more times than I remember this game. And VortiX, I do not know why you haven't built Spinecrawlers there. Admittedly, you're low on minerals now, but there was once upon a time you weren't. And you wouldn't be now either if you defended this base with the complete mining field. Also, this base really needs to get taken. It's getting to a very late point in this game, and if you don't take that base, you are going to be selling yourself short. But likewise, Kas repeatedly trying to take this top base, unfortunately, is going to go down. The Corruptor count getting higher slowly, 19 Corruptors. This is going to be one massive engagement at the end of all of this. Just look at the size of these two armies. We've got battle cruisers, we've got Ravens, we've got Vikings, we've got Thors and tanks up against Broodlord, Corruptor, Ultra Infester. That is some kind of dream composition to anyone in the lower leagues. They're like, if I got that, I just win every game. And well, these two players, they've got it. And here we go. Looks like it's all going to start going down. The Seeker missiles are engaging. They're going straight for the Broodlords. Look at those damage. Look, oh my goodness. So much damage being done. But the Broodlords are coming in. The Vikings are trying their best to engage on everything. We can see we've got battle cruisers dying. There's no point having health bars up in this fight, because we just cannot see anything with them there. The Ravens still moving forward. More battle cruisers resupplying. And there is the GG. And Kas successfully came back from a tough position, ultimately just through mass dropping, and VortiX not investing in Spinecrawlers despite the fact he had so many minerals. But guys and girls, I hope you really enjoyed that game, and if you did, I would love for you to like the video and leave a cool comment, as well as subscribe so you get every game I release every single day of the week. And I will catch you tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.